an Ohio senator. She worked diligently around the nation as a surrogate for Bernie Sanders because she believed strongly in what Bernie was trying to do. Outspoken and a strong supporter of enfranchising every voter, regardless of party, I couldn't give her more respect. This is a lady that I feel when they say she is the voice of truth, she really is the voice of truth. I am more than proud and happy to have the honor to introduce Ms. Nina Turner, President of our Revolution.
What a pleasure to be here. I just got in from Pittsburgh. Your arms. Yeah. Never heard of it. But it's certainly great to be here with Bernie Cracks. All right. And so I just really appreciate all of you gathering here on a Sunday. You could have been doing anything, lounging around maybe. But we are here to fight for causes that are bigger than ourselves. And it's so important that we never get weary in our well-doing, but it happens sometimes. So we are going to have valley moments along this journey. But in order to appreciate the mountaintop, you got to understand what it's like to be in the valley. And as progressives, we are fighting for not just communities in the great state of Maryland, not just the great state of Maryland, but all over the states. We are fighting for a system and a nation that works for the vast majority of the people, what Jim Hightower calls the workaday people of America. That's what we're fighting for. And this fight does require us to be diligent. In the words of President Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible until it is done. And so we're going to have a lot of folks tell progressives that it can't be done, that we're out of our mind, that we're dreaming too big, that we're reaching too high. But in the course of life, every generation is charged with making this world a better place for the next generation. If I can borrow something from our Native American sisters and brothers, our First Nation sisters and brothers, when they say that we should live a life that looks 7 generations beyond ourselves. That is what we do as progressives. Or in other words, we should be willing to plant trees whose shade we may never enjoy. That is what this journey is about. So I'm delighted that we have many candidates in here who have been endorsed by Our Revolution Maryland, by Our Revolution on the national level. You have folks who are willing to take it to the people, to bring it for the people, for those folks who feel as though their voices are not heard and that elected officials are not only not listening to the people, but not working on behalf of the people. See, any old blue just won't do. So from Ben Jealous to Roger Manno, and I can't wait till Ben gets here, I call him BJ. But I'm so happy. We got to get him over the finish line. But you know, I want you to know that this movement would be nothing without all of you and your leadership and your willingness to sacrifice. So as a movement, we have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. See, it's uncomfortable to challenge the system. But when all is said and done, we know that we are at the right place, at the right time, in the right movement, for the right reasons. Yeah. And we can never forget that. You know, I've had the privilege of traveling all over this country. I've been to about 37 states in the last 9 months. And it doesn't matter if I'm in the red state of Texas, in Lubbock, Texas, or whether I'm in Pittsburgh, or whether I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, or Louisville, Kentucky, it doesn't matter. What people want is basically the same thing. They want what Congresswoman Barbara Jordan said. What people want is simple. They want an America as good as its promise. That is what we are working for. And that we are never going to leave a sister or brother behind. And we are fighting against a system that is shown up rigged. It is rigged socially. It is rigged politically. It is rigged economically. We understand this. And it's not that we are against wealth. Wealth is a beautiful thing. Look, I have never met anybody who says that when they grow up they want to be poor. Everybody wants better. People who started in humble beginnings, you are working every day, being steadfast to create better for yourselves and also better for your children if you have them. Everybody wants better. It is a natural inclination to want better. But what we are sick and tired of is excessive greed and exploitation. That is the wealthiest nation on the face of the earth. They got enough money to bail out Wall Street, but they can't even help and uplift Main Street. Something is wrong with that, and we need a paradigm shift. And part of that shift comes from electing folks to office who understand that the power that they hold belongs to the people, does not belong to them, it belongs to the people. So before I bring up Roger, who certainly has lived his life in a way that gives back. You know, there's scripture on Sunday, and I'm a preacher's kid. There's scripture in the Christian Bible that says that you will know the tree by the fruit that it bears. Yes. This is about doing the work. Whether folks are watching you, whether they're uplifting you or not, but being committed to the work. And we know that Roger is committed to the work. That his life is a symbol of the work. Sisters and brothers, besides telling you that people all over this country need this movement, they need people like us. And we need more elected officials who are not bought and paid for by their donors, owners, or is it donors? Yeah. You know, we coming to a point in this country where the oligarchs, people are just absolutely buying elections. And there's something wrong with that in the United States of America. Nobody should be able to buy a seat, and the only way that this system is going to continue to do what it does is if we sit on the sidelines. Sisters and brothers, democracy is participatory. We gotta be in it to win it. We can't sit on the sidelines and complain. We gotta be in it. And it's every single election cycle. Because see, electing a good school board member, a mayor, a township trustee, city council folks, people to serve in the legislature, governors, is just as important as electing members to the Congress and to the presidency of the United States of America. All of those offices matter. And if you're not willing to do it for yourself, do it for the mother in Akron that I met who told the story about her son who had a heart condition. She couldn't get health insurance for her son in this country that judges you by that way. See, Roger was able to work with the Affordable Care Act, but we need to take the Affordable Care Act to the next level. But within that Affordable Care Act was the fact that we cannot discriminate, that insurance companies could not discriminate against people because they have pre-existing conditions. But imagine yourself being a mother worried about your baby. On the front end, no health insurance, and on the back end, can't get life insurance. Something is wrong with that in this country. Or a gentleman that I met in Austin, Texas, who told the story about his wife who was diagnosed with a disease where her medicine would cost $500 a day. They are solidly middle class, but how solid could their middle class status stand under $500 a day worth of medicine? Something is wrong with that in the United States of America, where folks go bankrupt just because they have a condition, a medical condition that they cannot control. Meanwhile, pharmaceutical companies and insurance companies are making money hand over fist over the bodies of people in this country. Something is wrong with that. And we must fix our immigration system. It needs to be humane, and no child coming to this country should be separated from their mama or their dad. We need racial justice reform. Don't get me started on that. And we need folks who recognize that Mother Earth matters in this country. Above all, sisters and brothers, I don't think it's too much to ask for clean water and fresh air. And in the United States of America, no community from Flint to Iowa should have to face dirty, contaminated water. Something is wrong with that. hope even in the heaviness of this moment. And that is a beautiful thing. The moment may be heavy, but we cannot lose hope. Because the change is going to come from ordinary people in this room who are willing to put a little extra on their ordinary so that extraordinary things can happen. This is about us and what we're willing to sacrifice for, what we're willing to stand for. Who are we willing to save? So as Roger comes up, because I'm glad that he is standing in the ready position. I'm kind of torn between talking about Grandma or talking about Harriet Tubman, because she's been weighing on my mind. I think I'm going to talk about Harriet because there's a symbol in her life. We all know that she was a slave. She escaped to freedom. She could have rested on that escape and say, I'm free and don't worry about nobody else. But she went back and got her family members. And after she went back to get her family members, she could have said, you know what, my work here is done. But that mission was so heavy on her heart that she knew she had to go back over and over and over again to save somebody else. Sisters and brothers, my question for you this evening is who are you willing to go back to save?
Yeah!
Who are you willing to save? So she said these words. She said, if you hear the dogs barking, keep going. If you see the torches in the woods, keep going. If there is shouting after you, keep going. Don't ever stop. If you want a taste of freedom, keep going. Sisters and brothers, my 21st century version of that is that if you want health care for all, keep going.
Yeah.
If you want women in this country to be able to earn dollar for dollar as a man, keep going.
Yeah.
If you want paid family leave, keep going.
Yeah.
If you want college for all, keep going. Yeah. If you want criminal justice reform, keep going. If we want to make sure that our children are not saddled with debt in one hand and a degree in the other, keep going. If we believe that clean water and fresh air is mandatory as a human right, we must keep going. If we want to reform the immigration system in a way that is humane, keep going. And if we believe in the beauty of our future, we must keep going. Because sisters and brothers, our mission is so high. We can't get over it. And our mission is so low. We can't get under it. And our mission is so wide. We cannot get around it. This is our clarion call for this moment. And how blessed are we to have for people who are willing to run against an establishment system that tears us down and tears us apart and only values people with the most money. How wonderful it is to have somebody like Roger who is ready to stand in the ready position to stand up for Medicare for all, to stand up to protect the environment, to stand up for people who without that kind of representation would not have an advocate in their wake. Somebody who will not bend to the will of big donors. Yeah. Somebody who understands that the power that he will have once he wins that office belongs to the people. Yeah. So without further ado, I bring Roger Manno to the stage to give him. He will keep going.
I'm not even going to try. Senator, you came a long way. You've been on a long road to be with us tonight. We're not done.
Give up a seat for this lady.
Yeah, Senator. Somebody give Senator Turner a seat. Thank you. I can't follow that, and I'm stuck between Nina Turner and Ben Jealous. That's a tough place to be. Right. Let me just say thank you all for being amazing advocates and warriors in the struggle for people. That's what this is about, people. And I'm going to bring it down for a minute because I can't get above Senator Turner. That's why we're doing this. I'm a scrappy kid from Hell's Kitchen, from the west side of Manhattan, who had some hard times, and I'm not telling a story that many of you aren't familiar with, because most of you have lived through this or have lost a loved one because they were poor and didn't have health care or were screwed by a system that was stacked against them from the day they were born.
Yes.
We're approaching a caste system in this country.
Yes.
It shouldn't be that way in America. It should never be this hard for people. I lost my dad when I was a little boy. I was 6 years old. He was a carpenter. He built things with his hands. He had no money. We were happy, but he had no health care because he was poor. And that left my beautiful young mother and I in some terrible, terrible times. And I lived in the streets, I was in a group home. I only tell you that, not because I'm proud of it, but because I want you to understand that I get it. I've been there. I made it out of that mess because of good angels who pulled me out of the street, and good social programs. And it's that simple. And that is really what this country's about. And I grew up wondering why kids like me, you know, had those hard times, and other kids ate good food and had vacations and went to good schools and had nice clothes and had dads, and some kids didn't. And it was just bad roll of the dice, bad economics. And I wanted to do something about that. The senator knows this story. I went to the Salvation Army and I got a suit and I cut my hair and I knocked on the door of my state senator. And I thought, I've arrived. And I asked how I could help do casework. And do you have anything in the healthcare area? Because I wanted to fix that. And I got chances to go to community college. I went several times, and then the 4-year school, and I made it out of there. And then I was a White House intern, and I got a chance to go to law school, and I wanted to work on healthcare. And there was a congressman from Detroit who, growing up, I saw on CNN and C-SPAN, who was a fire-breathing freedom fighter. And I wanted to go work with him. And I got a chance in my last year of law school to go work with John Conyers from Michigan. And I met a guy around the corner from my office who said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm working on universal single-payer health care." And I said, "That sounds really cool. I've been looking for you. How do we do that?" And he said, "Well, come on." And I went and hung out in this guy's cubicle. And he built, county by county, state by state, the universal single-payer health care movement in a bill that would be introduced in 2 years, HR 676, which is now the iconic universal single-payer health care bill. And by the way, we are not afraid to say those words, universal single-payer health care, right? And it shouldn't be that we're the only large industrialized country in the world where people live or die based on how much money they have, right? It's not that way in Great Britain, it's not that way in Canada, it's not that way in Australia, and we're gonna fix that. So, I'm gonna just go down the list of what the great Senator Nina Turner said, right? We're gonna give healthcare back to the people. We need a healthcare system for everybody. Medicare for all, universal single payer, right? Because healthcare is a human right. And we're gonna establish it as a legal right for the first time in America. We're gonna do that, right? Yeah! Number 2, we need a universal jobs plan, man. Like, there was a time in this country when we built good jobs with benefits, right? With health care and retirement security. And we're creating a generation of jobs in this country that are minimum wage. By the way, forget $15 an hour. We need $25, $35 an hour living wage in this country. We can do that. And it shouldn't be that hard. So we need a jobs guarantee program in this country. We can do that. We're going to get that done in Congress. Number 3, Garrett County, the reddest county in the state of Maryland, figured out, Senator Turner, how to give universal tuition-free college to every kid in Garrett County. Why can't we do that in America in 2018? We're going to get that done. And last but not least, as long as babies are being ripped out of the arms of their parents, This is America, man. 2018. We look like a black and white World War II film right now, and it's not cool. We need to create a feasible, economic, humane immigration system in this country. And while we're at it, we need to abolish ICE, finally. So, we need to get this done. Now, lastly, and the senator, she just touched on it, but it's a real thing. This money thing is real. It's playing out in my election. I'm running against the single most moneyed candidate in the history of the world. He spent $13.5 million last year to get defeated by Jamie Raskin. He learned a very valuable, that was the most expensive congressional race in history. He learned a very valuable lesson in that race, and that is, in America, you can't buy a congressional seat on the cheap. And that guy's spending $1 million a week right now to defeat me. We don't have the most money, but we have more groups representing working people and retirees than every other candidate in this race combined. But we can't do it without you. I need your help, not just for me, but for these great freedom-fighting warriors who are running in District 39, like Gabe and Bobby, in District 17, like Julian, and folks from across the county, across the state of Maryland. Great progressive young leaders fighting the fight, and they need your help. So please join us. Let's get to work. Thank you very much.